sound better.
So Moses here with w.a.production, and today is time for another roundup of the best plugins that have been released in the last month. We've got the Poly Mode by Cherry Audio, we've got a wavetable synth that works in Kontakt, and we also have some new effects processing units to help you get a really big, fat sound. So without any further ado, let's jump in and check out Cherry Audio's Poly Mode. So as you can hear from the demo, it has a really great analog sound to it. They've really done a great job at capturing the essence of the Poly Mode and bringing it into a accessible kind of modern format that we can use in our productions. It's also got excellent 80s kind of sounding synth pads, and I'm a sucker for synth pads. I always think that my tracks need more of them, and I find them quite kind of time consuming to create. So this is great, and it will provide that kind of flair to your track. So let's just run through a few of the presets from the little demo that I just created. So you have some basses. There's also this really great chorus down here. So I'll turn it off and then I'll turn it back on so you can hear what it sounds like. Really love those kind of old school choruses. They just sound so wide and massive and detuned. You also have some other effects such as reverb, phaser and some modulators, and they all sound absolutely excellent. You also have some pads. And if you look here, you've got a whole selection of presets to choose from. So more than enough to get you started with this synth. Definitely worth having a play around with some of the various options that you have for changing and modulating the sound as well. It also has some really great lead sounds as well that again give that real 80s kind of classic synthwave feeling to any song that you put it on. So this is one of the leads that I used in this. So this is definitely a great synth to add to your arsenal, and at the moment it's only $29 from the Cherry Audio store, which is linked down in the description. If you do go and get this synth, make sure to drop a comment and tell us how you've been using it. Next up we have Karani Sound's Wave Synth. Now this is just inspiration from every single preset that you open, and I made this very short little demo loop just so you can hear the kind of sounds and the kind of textures that you can get from this synth. So let's play it through. As you can hear, it's perfect for those kind of really eerie sci-fi textures. And again, this kind of relates back to what I was saying with the Poly Mode, how I'm kind of always looking for more synth pads to add some texture to the intros and breakdowns of my tracks, as well as also be the main feature, like with this track that I've just done. Now, this is available as a Kontakt patch, and it is currently £36 on their online store. Something to note is that you do need the full version of Kontakt for this to run. It will not work on the free players, so just wait before you go and get this and make sure you have the right things to run the synth. However, if you do have the full version of Kontakt, then this is highly worth the small amount of money that you have to pay for it. And we'll just run through a few of the presets that I've used and take a look at some of the kind of user interface that they've created for the synth. So the main inspiration for this actually came from this patch, which was a pad, and you can see it gives this like VHS effect, and I just absolutely love the look of it. And now this is what this sounds like. So this is what the synth looks like as standard when you open it up. You can see that you've got some very basic controls here for attack, release, your filters, positioning, and your EQs. If you come down here and you press the edit window, you do get a more comprehensive view of all the controls to do with the synth you have. And these are quite interesting controls up here because you've got your algorithm type, position start, form start, and now I'll just modulate these a little bit so you can see what they do to the sound and how they can really shape and give some kind of different sound design options. So So you can hear that if you modulate those over time, you can get a lot of variation from just one synth patch. Now we'll take a look at some of the pads that I've used because they slightly change the skin and I absolutely love the look that they've gone for. So this is the patch that we'll be taking a look at. It's just called Cave Whisperer. Now, as you can see, when you move to the files, you have got tons and tons of presets to choose from. They're all absolutely exquisite and very well made and designed, and really, like I've been saying, do provide a lot of inspiration to kind of get you going with a song and provide some really eerie, cyberpunk kind of dystopian intros to your music. So this is the Cave Whisperer, and you can see that the GUI has slightly changed and it's got this kind of VHS kind of classic look. So as you can hear, this is some super dystopian kind of sound sets that you can use for your intros and even your kind of main parts of your song. This is linked down in the description, so make sure to go and check it out and drop a comment with your thoughts on this synth. Now, I couldn't help but notice, but the drums were sounding a little bit thin, and that's a good thing that Softtube have teamed up with Empirical Labs to deliver a new emulation of a compressor unit. So we'll put that on the drums and we'll just see how it sounds, because it sounds pretty damn fat. So this is how the drums sound, and this is just without any processing. So just a super simple kind of drum beat. Now this is using Spitfire's Labs instruments, which I do a very quick review on in another video, which might be linked somewhere around here or also down in the description. Now something that I am going to add into this very quickly is just our new plugin, Biggerfire. We did release Biggerfire this month, and I've done a whole other video kind of reviewing it, and we've got a few more videos up on the channel, so you can really go and take a look and see what this plugin can do to your track. I've just got it here doing a little bit of reverb and a little bit of distortion on the signal before it hits the Empirical Labs Mic E comp. You can hear that it just kind of provides a little bit more weight to the sound. Now, we're going to put the Empirical Labs. Empirical Labs are famous for making the Distressor, which is a legendary compressor which provides absolute annihilation and fatness to anything that you put it on. Now the Mic E comp takes a similar route, and we get the same kind of huge, massive sound out of it, as well as providing a little bit of kind of saturation to the sound. So we'll just turn it on and hear how it affects these drums. So this is it with it off. And this is it with it on. I love big compressors that just smash the drums to pieces, and this does it in such a neat, controlled way, and also delivers some really good crispiness. So we'll just run through a few of the different settings that you can use and see how they make a kind of change and affect the overall sound of the drum kit. You also have your emphasis here. You then have your ratio, which goes from bypass 1:1 all the way up to nuke, which I obviously have it in. So this is it with it bypass. It just pulls and crunches the drums so nicely, and just has made this drum kit that sounded a little bit weak compared to the rest of the track suddenly sound absolutely massive with the processing applied. You also have the preamp here, which is just your input gain. You then have a high pass, a phase invert, a kind of dry wet dial here, as well as your output. You also have a sidechain input as well as your attack and release settings. So you can hear that it's just a very simple, very effective compressor, just getting a massive sound out of anything you put it on. Now we're going to take a little look at Wave's Vocal Bender, which is a kind of formant and pitch shifting plugin made well for vocals. So here's Wave's Vocal Bender. You can see that it is a very simple and easy to use plugin with just a few controls available to you. Now for this vocal demo, I have used a w.a.production sample pack with some of the lyrics and vocal lines in. Now this sample pack is available on our website, as well as also available through our membership options, which are linked below for you to go and check out. We have various pricing tiers, each that gives you more access to our site, the plugins and the samples available on it. With this deal, you also get access to the Biggerfire plugin, which I did demo earlier on in the video. So definitely worth checking out and seeing if it will be useful for you and your music production. the Waze vocal bender seems to be lending a little bit from Sound Toy's Little Altar Boy in the way that you can control the pitch and the format of the sound. Now this is super useful for creating kind of unique vocal tones from the vocals that you already have. So for example, we have the vocal line here.
I need to follow my way like there's no tomorrow.
Now you can hear that it's a really nicely sung vocal line, but sometimes you might be in the studio and you might only have time to capture one vocal performance. So with the vocal bender you can simply duplicate down the channel, enable it, and then you can create some harmonies by shifting the pitch around. So this is what it sounds like semitones up.
I need to follow my way like there's no tomorrow.
And now a lot of kind of vocal pitch alteration plugins can sound a little bit nasty, but I think this one introduces a really nice quality whilst also retaining the actual characteristic of the voice and not making it too chipmunky. However, you can also use the format dial to kind of really fine-tune the tone of the vocals. So we'll take a look at that now. So something that I've been enjoying playing around with is moving the pitch up 7 semitones and then taking the format down 7 semitones. So you kind of end up in the same kind of pitch region, but just hear what that sounds like.
I need to follow my way like there's no tomorrow.
You can hear that it kind of provides a really weird quality and it's great for layering up doubles and just thickening out your vocal sound.
I need to follow my way like there's no tomorrow.
So yeah, Waze have done a really great job with this and made a really easy, accessible and fun to use plugin that you can really put on any vocals to give a slightly different and unique sound to the performance. Now, as the last plugin, we're going to take a look at Big Al's Saturator. Now this is a fantastic saturator unit and we'll dive straight in and hear how it sounds and how we can use it on our own productions. So this is Plugin Alliance's Neold Big Al Saturator unit. So as you probably know from previous videos, I'm a massive sucker for saturators. I think that they are probably one of the best things that you can use on all of your sounds to provide some grit, tone, and also get the really big, loud sounds that are required for today's modern dance music songs. So I've got a track up here and we're just going to be looking at how the Big Al can be used on bus processing for some of the elements which I've designed. So let's hop straight in and see what it sounds like on some drums. You can see here that it's a very simply laid out user interface. You've just got your drive, level, the low amount, high amount, and just the on and off, as well as your mix up here. You also have some features up here for kind of providing some extra kind of transient shaping and control. So we'll play through the drums and hear how they sound. So you can see that in places the drums are clipping and they are just lacking a little bit of grit that I want to get from them. So we'll just slowly increase the drive and see how it affects the overall sound. You can see that when you start to push it into the higher registers, you do start getting some kind of nice distortion tones from it. I especially like how when you reach a certain point the distortion just kind of folds in on itself and just starts getting quieter and more crispy and crunchy and like just lovely. Something to note as well that you can see on our level metering, I'll just switch it over to the mixer. You can see here, just keep an eye on the levels as I increase the drive. You can see how we're retaining the dynamics and the punch of the sound, but also giving ourselves loads of headroom to mess around with. This all helps with achieving really loud, punchy mixes. And now I'll just increase some of the lows and the highs so you can see how they have an effect on the sound. So you can really see how it retains a nice and crisp sound whilst also providing that grit that we do desire from our production. Now this in combination with the mic E-Comp and the Biggifier will just obliterate drums, so definitely worth checking it out. A lot of the plugins that I've talked about today do have free trial versions and everything is linked in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content and hit the little notification bell so you're alerted when one of these videos comes out. Until the next one, peace out.